All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Comic Banter, where we talk about comics and banter about it back and forth, which is just the crux of this whole idea for the name. I'm your host, Ken Rolow. With me today, as always, is my partner in crime, Victor Segura. And our guest today is Tony Fleecs.
Hey.
Audience, give it up for Tony. I know that we're still filling in the room, but thank you. Let's golf clap.
We did it.
Yeah, there you go. We did it. Yeah. So, I mean, how has everyone's weeks been? Everyone's just getting through, continued.
I mean, these last 12, 15 hours have been incredible. I mean, best week in months. It's really been great. Last time I was on was a real miserable day, and this time it's just been a real treat. I don't want to get political, but we're doing good. Everybody's happy.
Yeah. Man,
I wake up to that news.
Yeah, it's a weird juxtaposition between the two, of like, okay, this, and then I remember there was a time several weeks back where I had switched up because we're still playing with the timing of this and if we're going to be doing it weekly, bi-weekly, like what's our plan, and like then the news of Chadwick Boseman came in, and I'm like, I couldn't podcast on a day like this. It's so like that was tough. That was a tough day, and it's like it's been a constant roller coaster ride. I mean, it's 2020, so that's the theme song of this year is
it's ridiculous. But yeah, I'm doing good. I mean, I'm working steadily, very busy. I'm working on 2 comics, and I got a day job right now working on Muppet Babies for Disney Junior. So I'm way busy.
Nice.
Picking show. Yeah. Right on.
Yeah. How about you guys?
Just working. I mean, Vic, have you been watching a lot of Muppet Babies? I don't know. Do your kids watch Muppet Babies? I know.
Yes, I do. I actually got requested over Star Wars Clone Wars today. Like, no, I want to watch Muppet Babies. I'm like, okay, I got no problem. It's the same app, so it worked for me.
Might not be my choice, but I respect it and I appreciate it.
Yeah, I went into another room and watched Clone Wars instead.
I don't know if I told you last time I was on, Ken, but I got the Clone Wars. This dude did like a mega cut of episode 3 and the last 4 episodes of Clone Wars, where it's like all edited together, and he was very mysterious about it. Like, I saw trailers for it all over YouTube, and then to get a hold of it, because it's like illegal-ish, or he can't sell it, but if you hit him up, he could like give it to you, but he's not like a distributor, so he had to like go in order and just like give one person at a time, because otherwise it would just be like sucking all this data off of his computer. So anyway, I got it. It's like 12 gigs, but it's rad. It's just like the whole thing straight through.
That's perfect.
Crazy.
Yeah,
that's so perfect.
Yeah, it's one thing that it's funny because it's like that, and like you hear about the what's his name, the Topher Grace, his cut,
his prequel cut.
Yeah, his prequel cut. I'm always kind of curious, and I've never been able to track it down. Internet.
It was online for like half a day, and I was able to catch like the first half hour of it, and then it was taken off. Like, it was good though.
I've heard.
I've got the despecialized editions. And those are cool, but I didn't get the Topher cut when that was out either. I'd be interested in that too. But like all the ones that I've seen, the ones that are cuts, when like it seems silly, but there is like connective tissue. Like if you take anything out, it does leave like dangling threads on the other side of it, where you're just like, I know what's happened there, but if I'm just watching this fresh, I don't understand, why that person did that, or
right.
Yeah, that's interesting. Because what was it? I was watching a movie recently where it was the same kind of thing, where like you could tell where there were storylines that were cut before they finally made the final edit, and you're kind of like, that's just a weird drop point that just kind of goes nowhere, and you're like, they left it in for time, but didn't decide to pay it off, and you're just like, okay, and it's like, how much
about the last Fantastic Four movie?
Fan Four Stick?
Yeah.
My buddy Jeremy wrote the first draft of that. He's the one that was on Twitter earlier this week and said, I wrote that thing. He said that was the worst thing I've ever seen, and I wrote the Fantastic Four. he was the biggest tweet on Twitter for that until this new thing happened.
Oh man. Oh man. I haven't watched it, and I've watched. Well, actually, I guess that's not surprising, but I haven't watched Fantastic, but I did watch both the Fantastic Four and the Rise of the Silver Surfer. But I still haven't watched the Roger Corman Fantastic Four, and that's I give up nerd credit every time I admit that. It's very bad.
I haven't watched it either. It looked bad. Like
it looked bad, but it looks fun bad. Like it, and the thing looks good. Like as for its time, like I still like that brow.
I watched.
To be fair, it being Roger Corman, you expect cheesiness out of it.
Yeah.
So it kind of goes hand in hand.
There's a documentary about it on Amazon Prime about the making of that thing. That I have seen. That's great. Recommended.
Yeah. I need to check that out.
Yeah.
One thing with not because MJ Rolow in chat wanted to mention she started singing Muppet Babies, the theme song, and it's partially stuck in my head. Is the new show doesn't interject any alternate footage, does it? Like
right.
The old show? Okay.
Yeah. Well, so in the olden days, when it would have like Star Wars or Indiana Jones in the Muppet Babies, that was basically just like a handshake deal between Lucas and Jim Henson. And now even though it's all owned by Disney or whatever, like there's so many more legal strings involved that it's hardly worth it to
try.
Yeah, I don't know how much of this I'm supposed to tell you, but that.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's
I don't feel like that was proprietary.
I feel that just cutting the surface, and so it's just enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Either we'll be shut down by Disney right away, or we'll just make sure that everyone in chat signs a digital NDA. And we're all good.
If I get fired, you guys will bring me on to work at the comic shop. Is that okay?
Yeah, exactly. We sleep comic books for. That's where we're gonna pay those bills. Oh man. Oh, also, already Alex Chung is in the chat. Wanted to mention, never seen that one, but it seems to have a great looking Doctor Doom suit too. I agree. That's another
right.
like if every movie past that doesn't seem to get Doctor Doom right, but Roger Corman had it. He's like, no, this is how you do it.
And it's a progression of how bad it gets too, because at least like in the first two, like Rise of the Silver Surfer and the one before it, he had the cloak, but he still looked wrong, and then they just took away the cloak altogether. So yeah, he's not wrong.
Yeah, I mean that's what the Marvel Universe movies really got right, was they were like, these things seem to have been pretty classic. Like these designs seem to have held up for long enough, that they don't. I mean, Hawkeye doesn't look 100% like Hawkeye, but like Black Widow pretty much looks like Black Widow. Like Captain America looks like Captain America. Hulk.
Yeah.
Why mess with it?
And that's, I mean, broke. Yeah. To look behind this little scenes a little bit, there's an artist, at least one artist that I know of, Andy Park, who worked in the industry for a while, and he's been working with those with the studio for a good long while now. And it makes me happy because I'm like, oh, his fingers in there, like his hands are on the project, and it's like, oh, he's worked in comics, he's lived it for a while, so he brings that kind of like, oh, well, let's blend it this way. And I mean, there's dozens of artists there, but it's like I do know that there are some people there who are like, no, let's make sure this makes a nod to the original, but also moves forward, and that's great stuff. I think Ryan Mendeling is another artist on there that does a lot of.
He's the lead of that area of the Marvel Studios.
Yeah, Andy Park, Extreme Studios.
Yes, Andy Park, Extreme Studios.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know where to go after that because we hit on all the good notes. All right, so we are jumping back. Let's see. Hey now. A little bit of that.
I'm ready.
A little bit of this. A lot of bit of this. There we go.
Yeah.
All right, so we're back at Marvel Universe Series 3 from 1992 from Impel. Last time we left off, let me jump back, with the fan favorite. Where'd he go? There he is. Maelstrom.
Yes.
Everyone's favorite MCU villain, Maelstrom. You remember him from the Quasar movie? Good art though. I mean, it's always like, Greg Capullo definitely like nails it down. The villain seems off, and he's intimidating. Like the inset picture is great. Good card. You can't.
Yeah.
I don't know who he is, but I definitely like. Okay, this is a very 90s looking villain, because it's like they're moving from the 80s into the 90s, and you're like, yeah, this is the costume he's gonna wear. It's like when we think about Diablo, you're like, okay, yeah, that's just gonna be the costume. Let's just do this.
Yep. Energy projection going nuts right there.
Speed.
Toothbrush splatter going crazy in the background of that card. Really having fun in there. That inker we talked about last time, but I went and looked. He was the main Greg Capullo inker on those like Quasars and all that stuff in those days, and then through to X-Force.
Gotcha. Nice. We got a new chatter in the chat. Randolph the Black. He says, "Wow, I had most of those cards." Randolph, I believe you might have picked those up from me at Comic Tunes Toys, so thank you for stopping in. Jumping right into, so the first card for the show today is going to be this Know Nothing character, Thanos by Ron Lim. I like to just jump off the bat. Of course, he is smarter than the Punisher, so that's good. We get a good barometer for his level of intelligence. But
Mental power, it's not very much at all, though.
No, he's not that. I was about to say he's not that smart, but I guess that's intelligence. So there's his mental power, and this looks like he's got the gauntlet on, but because of the curvature of the glove, you can't tell if there's actually the gems in there.
More down.
Yeah, I think that would put all of his ratings up to the 7, right? If he had all the gems in, because it didn't that Ghost Rider's speed comes from the motorcycle, not from him just running around, right?
Yeah, so it counts your equipment.
Yeah, we count tools.
Yeah. This one, as much as, we talked about how much Ron Lim does in this set, and I appreciate it, but the layout is just definitely like he's there standing, and it's Ron Lim, so it's like it's the absolute person I wanted to draw Thanos, but to the comment you made before, it doesn't actually fill the card. Like, it's just kind of like, here he is.
He's a little dinky.
Yeah, and it's like, with Thanos, like, I think of his size and his presence, and I'm not getting that from this card. It's still great art. It's just like, it's not...
I feel like you get it more from the headshot in the back than you do from the full photo.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, like, the wall that he drew in behind him also just sort of puts him, like, it adds to the scale on him, or subtracts from the scale on him, I guess, because we see that there's something taller than him, bigger than him in the background, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good art. There's actually because I always talk about Marvel Legends, there's actually a new figure that's coming out based on this design, and it's like this is the classic style, and I really love this. It's really good. I like his big, almost like swashbuckling boots that they would always do on him in this time period.
Yeah, the Bronze Age boots.
Yep.
Yeah, whenever I draw Thanos, I like to draw this character, or like this design.
Yeah. Victor, you weren't here last time, but Tony's definitely brought one thing to light is we don't talk about their quotes enough, and like I feel like we need voice actors here to read this off and just be like, the heavens will run red with blood, but in the end, as is always, Thanos will stand triumphant.
I don't think we need voice actors. Oh, you nailed it.
Hey, you got it, Ken.
I gotta chill.
I gotta smoke a few more packs of cigarettes. But, yeah, like it's funny because it's like that is another thing that as a kid collecting this, it was always a cool little thing. Like I always enjoyed the did you knows at the bottom. This set doesn't have it. A lot of them did, but like this set was offset with quotes, and I'm like, oh, that's a thing we barely got a chance to kind of take a nod to until Tony's like, hey guys, you're missing out.
Yeah. Very true. Yeah. They're saying some good stuff in these quotes. The villains, I think, specifically say the best stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Anybody? No one in chat has anything to say about the Mad Titan. This is right around Infinity Gauntlet. Obviously, it's actually in the quote. I realized too. So this is Infinity Gauntlet before Infinity War. So yeah. Good
card. Wish he looked a little bigger, but
what do you like the menacing size where we expected him?
Oh, Terry Austin on the inks too. That's nice.
Yeah. Terry Austin did a lot of inks on most of the set, just like Paul Mounts on the colors.
Yeah.
I like when we talk about the inset. Like I love just you don't even see his eyes per se. They're sunken, and it's just the red glow that pierces the darkness.
Yeah, that's great.
Like, that adds to that one little piece.
That makes me want to rewatch the Avengers movies that he's in and see if they ever do like a hat tip to that. You know, like I don't remember it ever being pointed out, but it seems like something they would have done where it's just like his brow would have cast his eyes in shadow and he had glow coming out.
If anything, maybe the first Avengers movie, but I even think then they didn't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's just that turn and you see that purple chin.
Yeah. Man, what a great moment. That was like that like when Nick Fury showed up in Iron Man, you're like, whoa, this is great. Like they're doing a whole thing, like it's gonna be a whole real thing. But when Thanos showed up, you're just like,
He just turns around and has a smirk. Yeah. Boom.
yeah, crazy.
Yeah. There's Randolph says, I'm looking for my card collections, and I found so far is his T2 set. The Terminator 2 set, I'm guessing, is what he's going for. I mean, we could definitely cover it at some point. I don't think there's a lot of art there, but it's definitely a classic set.
If you're talking about Marvel Universe Series 2, then I'm way down with that.
That is one of my favorite sets, which is why my card in the chat is that, because that was probably my first one, and I love that set so much.
All that good Arthur Adams too.
Oh, dude, there's so much good Arthur Adams.
Beautiful Art Adams in this set.
So, stepping from this relative unknown character to the fan favorite Zarko by Ron Friends.
Oh, Zarko. Look how much more powerful Zarko looks. He's huge. He's looking down at us.
The background is totally the opposite of what we had last time. It's perfect.
Yeah.
He towers over his background, and it's like, also you're like, well, what does he do? Well, well, clearly he has a treasure chest full of powerful things, I'm guessing. As I've never heard of Zarko before this card, and not since, but there he is.
And he used cretins in his quote.
I love cretins. I love imbeciles.
Yeah.
I love any sort of insulting somebody's intelligence like that. It's great.
It's good too, because this is as I go through the sets, I usually kind of do a glance through, and I'm like, oh, he fought. Not only did he fight Eric Masterson Thor, he also fought Beta Ray Bill and the 26th Century Youth Dargo. I'm like, he fought all three of them? This one guy? Like, what?
You think you'd hear more about this guy?
And I'm also like, his suit looks like it's Dr. Octopus, but he switched the yellow for black. Yeah. And he's like, I'm just gonna. He found the suit. He dyed it differently. He's like, haha, I've done it.
I mean, he just looks like Mel from Alice to me. Like, catch my grits, Zarko.
Oh man. Got Randolph in chat saying I was a huge card collector, but I think most of the Marvel ones were lost in the move. Man, I know that pain. And my stuff is, I'm not even sure if it's lost or if it's just in storage somewhere, and it may be lost, and I don't even know it yet. Man. All right. I mean, does anybody else have any fond memories of Zarko? I feel like I'm doing him a disservice by not speaking the phrase.
Green says it all, so I think we cover it.
Ron Friends is a badass though. Like that is a good looking card.
Yeah, I'm curious too. Like, I mean, we talk about the design and layout. Did they know? Okay, this is the size of the card, so this is the frame space you're gonna get, and so like this definitely is like, oh, he uses like his head just barely makes it into the top there. The scale is perfect. Whereas like other ones, you're like, okay, what did they know? Like, there's one of Phoenix. I'm sorry, not Phoenix. Rachel Gray.
Phoenix.
Rachel. Okay, yeah. Her card is just kind of like, yeah. She's like, I'm here. Like, okay, it's not as imposing or as, I don't know. I'm always curious what parameters were they given.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it just came down to whoever the graphic designer was, just plopping those in. You know, you probably had to do them all in an afternoon or a couple of days or something.
Yep, that same intern that we speak of.
Yeah, just picking the energy projection ratings.
Yeah, he's like, this guy. He's getting one. He has no energy projection.
Yeah, not that I know of. Meanwhile, how's he lifting this box? He doesn't have mental powers or energy projection. He's just doing that with his intelligence?
Yeah. He's like, I know how to build a box.
He's so smart, he can carry a box with his mind.
Maybe he just has a floating box.
Yeah.
I got to read up on my Zarko.
That's what he invented with his intelligence. A floating box.
Yeah. He invented drones.
He works for Amazon now.
But you don't hear from him. He's got a very nice retirement package.
Yeah. Next up, we've got another Ron Lim for Megas, and I see that we have Kareem Anderson in the chat, but we don't have his friend Patrick, and Patrick would just be losing it over Megas because he's a huge Adam Warlock fan, and I'm like, okay, this is when I think of Megas, I think of Adam Warlock, I think of Infinity War, and this is Ron Lim, and yet the way they do the spacing on this is so much better. Like again,
Yeah.
he fills that space.
Can you do a better one, better two between this and the Thanos? Because I feel like he's almost in the same pose too. Is it hard to do that? Does this screw up?
Camera 1?
Yeah.
Camera 2.
Yeah, he's almost doing the exact same thing. Ron Lim's like, yeah, kids love it when people do this. It's fine. Just do a bunch of those. I mean, it's rad looking.
Yeah. It works. And it's funny because it's like whenever I pose my Wolverine figure, it's always almost the same pose with his claws up. And like, that's it. You're just like, that's my pose.
Yeah. Got a balance.
Yeah.
I like him. I like that his little top knot, it pops over at the top of the word supervillains, like that's how important he is.
And his top knot. He's like, no, guys, I have a top knot. Let's all acknowledge that.
Yeah. I couldn't miss it. Not gonna sneak that past me. I'm not a huge Adam Warlock guy, so I don't have like beyond this card and like seeing him in comics. I don't have a lot of Magus love. You say Magus or Magus?
I say Magus, but I think
Magus.
I defer to y'all two.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I can certainly be wrong. Chat can correct me if need be.
I've never been corrected, so yeah, I don't know.
And I mean, nerds are definitely the type to correct if they feel it's wrong. So, if someone says Magneto around me, I'm like, excuse me, we need to stop this conversation.
I still think it's Magneto. I will not be.
I always say that's a neat way to say it.
Yeah. I mean, let me just go see my fridge over here. I think I got some magnetes hanging on it. See what's doing.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I believe he's Adam Warlock that goes evil, and essentially like an alternate timeline. Am I Victor? Can you help me out here at all? Or
I think that's one version of it. I think there's been other versions of it. I honestly, it's become a blur since the DNA run.
Okay.
I actually can't remember now.
That's fair. Yeah, the Abbott and Landing stuff is still. I mean, that's where we got our Guardians of the Galaxy. So it's like that's within reason. All right. Yeah. Kareem Anderson thinks nobody should be thinking of Adam Warlock. Fair enough. If we wanted to, if Patrick wanted his voice heard, he would have been in chat, and he's not here. So, too bad, Patrick. Next up, we've got Sabretooth by Mark Silvestri, and again, you've always got the X-Men guys. They're going to be drawn by Mark Silvestri in this set, and I don't think he disappoints. It's good. I love it.
Well done.
A+.
Yeah.
We were talking this week about the like the horizontal lines that fade off into nothing. Like Silvestri was like a king of that. Al Williamson would do it like way back in the day, but as the '90s went on, it got abused. Like people were using it for like they would start the lines very far apart and just put Liefeld would do it a lot, just like some lines. But this like works very well. It really like makes an atmosphere out of it. Like. It's not smoky there, but it almost feels like like there's light, and you wouldn't be able to see where the feet and the rock connected because of the light.
Yeah, like the fog. Fog is the lights bouncing off that fog, and you just can't see it.
Yeah, exactly. Face is great. It looks like the headshot in back was just like another take that he was thinking about using for the face. Like
yeah, for sure.
It's pretty much the same pose.
Alex Chung and Cream both love this image, and I agree, it's great stuff. Very aggressive. I love I love that like he's stupider than the Punisher, so we'll give him that. But like all his stats are so low except for fighting. He will fight the living crap out of him. I'm like, all right, fair enough. Although his speed is 1? Really?
That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, like how?
That's like a 0. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like so, if you had a trading card for a toddler. It would be the same number. And he's like, I can't outrace a toddler. Those things are fast.
He's the same speed as Stan Lee's Mr. Marvel card, I assume. He's the same speed as Billy Lumpkin.
But not White Wingfoot. White Wingfoot at least gets a 2 because
he's got winged feet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's home run. I like it. Definitely a fan.
Silvestri never disappoints.
Yeah.
Nope.
Next up, we've got the Kingpin of Crime by Lee Weeks. I mean, it's his size is perfectly imposing. It's exactly what you would expect. Yeah, I mean, it's. I actually like his inset again more because you get a little more detail. You get a little bit of his personality. You get the arrogance in his face, and it's like you get that a little bit with the front card art, but that back card art gives me like a little more personality.
Yeah, I like the rendering on the back card. I like the horizontal blinds on the front card. It does a nice job of setting the setting the scene. Like you get exactly what like he's in an office and he's like closed the blinds halfway because he's gonna get into some crime shit.
Yeah.
I'm not super nuts about the pose on the front. Like it's so hard to get that. Like I think like Lee Weeks does it right 99% of the time. John Romita does it incredibly. Frank Miller obviously does it incredibly. John Romita Jr. But this one, like the way that his coat sort of looks like a bell, like his legs look sort of small underneath. They're not as powerful as they usually seem, if it was all like of one shape, like if he just looked like a big bell, if the whole thing was a bell instead of his coat being a bell.
Yeah.
But who am I to say, like Lee Weeks way better than me, of course. I'm just saying it's all. He probably did this, over lunch.
Yeah.
But here we are 40 years later discussing it.
I'd like to note that Cream Anderson in chat's already noted that how is Kingpin faster than Sabretooth? Well, that is a great point. That is a great.
If you
honestly,
roll
just throwing a dart at a wall. That's how it is picked. Honestly, all these power ratings, that's all it is, a dart to a wall.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes a man has to get his hands dirty, he says.
There's the cigar gives power and entitlement. Yeah, there are little bits about the art that are good little nods. Although now that I'm looking at that arm, the anatomy seems way off. I know that it's a matter of perspective, and he's tall, so the head's further away. But now I'm like, there's shapes here that are just off a bit, and I'm like, huh.
Yeah, if that smoke wasn't there, you'd be wondering what was up with that shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's of course, again, because I like the action figure minute.
Let's do it.
They just released a carded Kingpin figure of this version, and it is massive and awesome.
I have a real soft spot for any fat action figures. I get Star Wars toys, and I don't like. I'm not like a completist. I don't get every one, but I pretty much will get any fat one that they put out. So like Dexter Jetster, I cop that shit right away. If they put out a Porkins, I get in Porkins.
They and on a note too about this one. Here's the regular size one. This is the Kingpin, and he eclipses it quite easily. Like, yeah, it is so big. Like, that they put it on. I love that they made a giant card just for him.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well done.
Yeah, if they do for the Star Wars stuff, if they do a basilisk like the diner guy, I'd get it and there's also a Jedi that's the same way. I'd get it too. They look great.
Yeah. Excellent work on the cravat. Is that what we call it? Like his dicky?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I always like that rendering on it.
Yeah, especially in the headshot.
Yeah.
Let's see. Someone in chat said he's fast if you roll him down a hill? ? Yes, that's
somebody just said that.
Somebody told me.
Yeah, somebody. All right. There we go. Jumping around. Speed is -2. Speed he'll put 7. Yeah, it's like again, maybe that's what it is because he is. They know that he's up in the high rise. They're like, okay, so if he's getting back down, that's how he gets down. So
if he fell, yeah,
exactly. They were planning for that. Next up, from this speedster over to this other speedster, Silvermane, who is an old man who's a robot and also still faster than Sabretooth. Silvermane is a character that for me has always been a Spider-Man character. I remember seeing him in the comics, but they even put him into the 90s cartoon, which I thought was awesome. They've made a Marvel Legend of him because he eventually evolved into like just a head in a remote control car. And it's like it's hilarious. Like his concept is so like outdated. Like I'm an old man that's gonna have this suit of armor. Like, and then it eventually just becomes a cyborg. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, it's just slowly getting picked away at over the course of 70 years.
Yep.
I love it. I like that back cover art a lot, or the back of the card art. And the detail, like what a nightmare that would be to draw in a comic. You know, like there's so many little holes and different layers of the exoskeleton.
Yeah.
That would be a real problem.
Can we get him an outer shell just to put on top of that, please? Because I'm tired of drawing all those
That's why they made him a head. Because they got tired of it. They're like, let's just make him a head.
It looks like he's in the Transformers base, like that big orange ship.
That's right. The arc.
Yeah,
You're saying and that's Teletran 1 behind him?
exactly. Yeah, it's just green instead of orange. It looks like the same computers.
Well, that's because the light that's coming off of him. That's like just like he's casting another shade.
Perfect, Ken. No prize.
Yeah. Silvermane, aka Walt Disney.
Everyone knows he's frozen in ice.
Exactly.
He's aka what's the Red Sox? That's head is also frozen.
You're asking a sports question. You got to go to Victor.
No, I can't remember his name.
He's also the Stephen King book. Oh well. It's very disappointing. I don't know shit about sports either. I just know one of them is frozen.
A chat. I'm asking anyone in chat. Please help us out.
It's Ken. I don't know. Ken Rolow.
Oh yeah, I know that guy.
On to the next one.
All right. Next, from one Spider-Man guy to another, we've got Cardiac, who
yes.
I love him. Design, if nothing else, but then there's also some good story to him. But I love his design. Like I saw this as one of my first exposures. Then also Mark Bagley doing him just before the Carnage run, because that's when I got into comics. Was right at Ted Williams, by the way, from the chat.
It is. Ted Williams is right.
There you go.
The Stephen King book is like The Girl Who Loved Ted Williams, I think.
Yes.
They're the collector. I remember Cardiac from, there was like a promotional, like public service announcement comic where there was Spider-Man, Cardiac, and something, and it was about not smoking, I believe. Let me see.
Oh, okay. I remember one with Spider-Man for not smoking because I got it in the shop, and it was versus Smokescreen, and like that's the one I'm thinking of. But I'm curious if Cardiac's in there now too. It's like the real villain here is.
That's Spider-Man, Storm, and Power Man. That's the one from like the Bronze Age.
Okay.
I remember that one specifically too. That thing is great looking. Man, what's the one with Cardiac? Oh, keep talking. I'm gonna find it.
Well, Cream Anderson's curious if did he have a stroke during his quote, which is "Call me judge, call me jury, call me Cardiac." Yeah, I mean,
that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, doesn't at all. So Cardiac is, I mean, you could get it from the card a little bit. He's a bit of a kind of like not eco-terrorist, corporate terrorist of like, you know, these guys are embezzling money and they're letting they're letting people, you know, go broke while they're getting rich, which is really prescient to 2020. But he's also a doctor. Like he's working for the betterment of people, and he's tired of seeing people die broken and penniless, and like this is not right. Like this is something I have to do, and he fights that injustice. And it's one of the things I remember, like, oh, this is a villain who's not necessarily just like, I want to rule the world, I want to rob a bank. Like he has a purpose to his crimes. So
yeah, I like that.
Vic, do you have any fond memories of Cardiac or?
I mean, I like that they brought him back for the last Dan Slott run, where Peter Parker hired him to work for him or something like that, work at one of his hospitals. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, they find ways to bring him back, and like he's always struck me like he didn't ever really strike me, like despite the really cheesy villain quote, like he never struck me as like a true villain. Like more of like a anti-hero type of thing. I don't know. Yeah, I mean he was a great character. I really dig this Eric Larson drawing of him. I like it a lot.
Yeah, the pose is great. Larson is he kills it on all of these. Like I don't think there's a bad Eric Larson card. And like just the design of it, like he designs great superheroes. I mean, he's been doing it for, you know, like 40 years or whatever. But like even when he makes new ones in Savage Dragon, they still are rad looking. You know, even today, like he's just got the knack of it. He understands it fundamentally, and this character, you know, is just fundamentally cool looking.
Yeah, for sure. I kind of like that he's really involved with a lot of the Spider-Man characters in this set too.
Yeah, agree. Alex Chung, I can't find this cardiac free comic, so I'm assigning you to look for it for the remainder of the show. You can always dig that shit up.
Ken, can you answer Randolph?
Yeah, I was going to do a couple real quick. We've got Kareem Anderson saying, a doctor faster than Sabretooth. You might not know, but he actually does marathons in his off time. I think it might actually be that he's also a triathlete. Like that's one of the things they throw around for some characters. Like, by the way, did you know that they're also a triathlete? But yes, Cardiac is faster than Sabretooth.
Yeah, those archery probably.
There you go. Was Cardiac in Maximum Carnage? He was not. This is actually just a little bit before Maximum Carnage. Like we're not there yet, but yeah, he wasn't in the Maximum Carnage. I could probably tell most characters who was and who wasn't, but he was definitely not, because most of the villains that were in there were ones that were just like more just like, I'm just here to be evil. That's my whole purpose. And then the heroes were all kind of street level, but yeah, Cardiac was not. But I do remember he was right around that same time period. Like it was a Cardiac issue before the first appearance of Carnage, so that was right. Like that was peak. It was also the time where we had like characters named Sticks and Stones. Was like one was in like a big kind of like a suit, like a padded armory suit, and the other one was just like, I'm in a tuxedo and I've got claws. It was the 90s were weird, guys. I can't.
I mean, they're always cranking out a lot of content. It can't all be winners. Can't all be Cardiac.
There you go. See, exactly. I'm actually like looking at this too. I'm like, I want this to be a Marvel Legends, because it's like it's such a simple thing. Like you throw some straps on it, but it's a very sleek bodysuit, some shoulder pads, and you're rocking. I like that bright blue.
I'm gonna throw a little bit of shade at Paul Mounts on this one. I don't think we needed to see this nose detail in the background. Like I feel like it's like Eric Larson was giving you a little bit of that with those indicating lines, but I feel like it's a bit much, you know. Like you imagine like you take off the mask and he just has like the world's biggest schnoz, you know. It's just like no, but the mask isn't even helping. Like everybody's just like, I know that's you.
Wait, Eli, is that you, Eli? Kareem Anderson, Sabretooth's speed is the new Punisher's intelligence. That is true. That is a barometer. If it's intelligence, we're measuring him against the Punisher. If it's speed, it's Sabretooth, which is that's even sadder on Sabretooth, though, like a 1. Good heavens. Like
shameful.
I just thought about it. Maybe because the intern who did this saw that he had no feet in that card. He's like, oh, he must not be able to move fast. Like, I can't see his feet. So
they thought he was like melded to that rock.
Yeah.
How's he going to run around like that? He's got rock for feet?
Yeah. This doesn't make any sense. I'm giving him a 1. Alex Chung says, for the life of me, I can't think of it, too. He didn't say just try now. He said this is your assignment for the rest of the stream.
All right, Alex, you're relieved.
All right,
he'll find it like 6 months from now and text it to me.
What are his powers? He's got a 1 for energy projection, but his hand is glowing. Yeah, his gloves like give. So, like I said, he's a doctor, and so I think he actually has like shock gauntlets, and he also has the staff, and that also has some energy projection. But for this, even though Ghost Rider's speed is included with the bike, his energy projection is not included with his things. Although I do think, now that I think about it, if it's just a shock touch and he electrocutes you, then that's not a projection as much as it's tactile. So there's no projecting of it. It's just right there. I didn't write the set, man. I just
it was the 90s. Everybody could do that with their hands. That's all.
Yeah. If you go through the set, we're going to see most of the people just have that.
Yeah.
All right. And then, so we've got next up, if you remember him from the Ghost Rider movies, Blackheart.
Wow.
By Grant Blevins. And I would remember him first from the Marvel vs. Capcom games, because he's one of the odd villains where you're like, was it Marvel vs. I think it was Marvel vs. Capcom and the first Marvel superheroes fighting game. Blackheart was one of the playable characters. Him and Shumdagroth, which I think that's how you say it. I'm just gonna say that and move forward. Blackheart he was a big villain for Mephisto. So he fought Ghost Rider. He also was a Doctor Strange foil sometimes. It looks like he also fought Daredevil for a point, which I was like, okay, I wasn't reading Daredevil at that time.
It was probably in the Nocenti, like when he was mixing it up with Mephisto and stuff. I would imagine it was in there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't remember him specifically because I'm not really a super Blackheart stan, but I am a Brett Blevins fan, and this is such a wild assignment for Brett Blevins. Like, it just seems like it was just randomly pulled out of a hat. You know, like
yeah.
he doesn't draw anything that looks like this. I mean, I guess when he would draw, not Beak, but who's the bird character from New Mutants and from Fallen Angels?
Yes.
It's not Beak. It's like Bird Brain.
No. Yeah, it is Bird Brain.
Yeah, that's similar vibe to this, but this is much crazier. You could tell he had fun on it because he's doing so much stuff with the textures and the details and stuff. But it's just like, if that didn't have a signature on it, I would have never in a million years been like, oh, it's probably Brett Blevins. It's so strange.
Yeah, and it's funny too because it's like with all the previous, like I've talked before about how all the artist kind of stuck to a certain theme. Like I'm surprised this isn't Mark Texieri, who's done so many of the Ghost Rider stuff. And like this is very much, it's almost like Brent's like, oh, I can do something like Mark stuff. But it's like you look at this and you look at the Sleepwalker and it's like this has so much more going on because of the texture that you talked about and like the background. Like you look at his work on a few of the other cards, it's like, oh no, this is where he spent some time and got to be more creative.
Yeah. I guess Sleepwalker too. That's a good point. There was a lot of sort of like darker, weirder stuff in Sleepwalker. I always go right to his X-Men stuff when I think about him. Man, I should go get that Sleepwalker stuff and dig into it. I haven't seen it since the 90s.
Yeah. Cherry Blossom Killer says, I always enjoyed this card because of the little tendrils. Like, yeah, it's like there's a lot of time spent on this, and it's like when I think of him still, I think of he's actually got a pretty hulking avatar in the fighting games, and he's big and he's got all these little bits off of him, and it's really cool because it's like it is a good depiction of the character, and he's got a lot going on in his design. So
yeah, the colors are cool. Like he's got that neat rim lighting, the yellow on the blue. Like it really works to sort of pop him out. And then just like I even like the flat pink eyes on the cover more than I like the glowing pink eyes on the back. Like you just think it looks like badass. Like he's just like completely blank. Who knows what's going on in there?
Yeah.
Yeah, and if anyone wants to look up, I think we brought it up in one of the earlier episodes, Ken. Hearts of Darkness, that was a team up with Wolverine, Punisher, and Ghost Rider. He was the main villain in the first story. In that one shot, there's a sequel to it. I don't think he was a villain in that though. But yeah, it's a fun story. Romita Jr. drew it. You can't get wrong with that. That art is badass. There you go.
He was the villain versus these guys, which, I mean, you look at how dark and sinister he appears in that picture. It's like, yeah, he's going to fight Wolverine, the Punisher, and Ghost Rider. Like, that's going to be, like, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. So, we've got Blackheart. Moving forward, we have, it's interesting, like, how, like, they jump around from so many different people, because now you're looking at Terrax the Tamer by Jeff Johnson. And like I love that grandiose pose of just like bow before God. Sorry for anyone speakers, but like he's just like, and I love too that the background is, it looks like the Thing kind of, because he manipulates the earth. He's a geomancer, I guess would be kind of a term, or earthbender if you're a fan of Avatar, which I am.
It's the Terra of the Marvel universe.
There you go. And so it's like he's one of the Heralds of Galactus, a one-time Herald of Galactus. It looks, I love this card. I thought it was a really great one, and I like the inset too. The card, you see that ferocity coming across there too, and a little bit of Kirby crackle.
Seems like the end of this card got like cut off, or like it's on the next page or something, because it says, where's the sentence break? God, that's a real run-on. After breaking from his master Tyros, now called Terrax the Tamer, used his awesome ability to manipulate all land masses in an effort to dominate the earth. Although believed to have been killed, he recently returned to wreak havoc on all mankind once. 1, 3, 4. We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know where that was going.
Yeah, he just and like because it's like there's kind of technically there's room for more there, but they just decided
and there's
nope.
no period.
No,
so it's like does he just want to do it one time once? Is that what they're trying to say? I guess once you wreak havoc on all mankind once, you're good.
Yeah.
But he's returning to do it, so I mean, I guess he didn't get to wreak havoc all the way the first time. He got stopped. Yeah, choose your own adventure.
Yeah, Randall's like choose your own adventure. There you go. That's like this is how I'm going to do that.
Yeah, it's a great hand. Jeff Johnson's great. I like that it almost looks like a McFarlane hand to me, like that foreground, just like that. I'm not in camera, like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Cherry Blossom Killer says, "I don't like what happened with the axe." I'm like, it definitely. I mean, it looks like a boomerang. It's stuck inside a staff. It's an interesting take.
I mean, I think he's talking about in continuity. What happened with this axe? Did he stick it in somebody? I don't know. I didn't follow Terrax's adventures. I was an X-Men kid around this time, so I wasn't keeping up with the Fantastic Four. You read the New Warriors, though, right?
I read some of the New Warriors, not a lot. So I don't remember this interaction. I know I'm failing. I'd like to Curtis.
I don't really remember him being in New Warriors much. Like not like their reoccurring villain type of situation. It was just like I feel like it was like a one-off or maybe like a couple issues at most.
Yeah. He was definitely in issue 17, of course. That's when he said life is not precious to me. It's fodder. It exists to serve me and for me to rule over once.
I'd like so Kit Curtis Howard wants to know how's his speed only 2? Kit, you might only be joining us right now, but we've learned that Sabretooth has a speed of 1, so he's faster than Sabretooth.
Actually pretty fast.
Yeah, this guy he's no slouch.
Yeah.
Cherry Blossom Killer says the size and proportion of Terrax. Yeah, it's good. I definitely like the size. Like it's a good imposing card. I like his like we talk about. He takes up space. Like you feel his presence. Oh, Kareem has a good point that there is no speed in space. I thought that was sound, but apparently speed is also what's not in space.
I mean, he's the ruler of an alien world too. Like you're not gonna move around too much when you're the ruler. He's got people to move around.
Well, he's the ruler once. Like that's not. It wasn't.
No, but then he was a herald of Galactus too. Like. Yeah, he's got to be moving fast for that. Good Lord.
He'd always fly around on a piece of earth.
On a rock.
Piece of rock.
There's always be a rock, yeah.
You're saying if he doesn't have the rock, then that doesn't count towards his speed? So it's not in this drawing?
Yeah, not according to the intern. The intern's like...
All right. I've had enough. It's a lot of problems with Terrax.
I'm really curious. I like this is one of those things where it's like there's plenty of things I want to go back and chronicle throughout time. I want to be in the room when they made this Impel set. They're just like let Dave do it. Like,
yeah, I want a documentary about the creation of all this. I want to say before we move on, I love his mouth on the back. I love that like that Kirby thing where he would do like an open mouth and it looks like almost like lightning crackling inside of it. It doesn't look like a tongue. It just looks like it's dark and crazy in there. I love that. Yeah,
it looks a little like a Darkseid-esque. Like I like that kind of that blankness.
Very much so.
So we are moving forward with Walt Simonson's Mr. Sinister, which I was a little surprised they had Walt Simonson on Mr. Sinister. Not that it's a dig, just I wouldn't have put the two together in my head. I thought we would have got another Silvestri, but
yeah, the X Factor, right?
Yeah. And so like that, and that makes sense. And it's like, it just wasn't what I was expecting. I do love the almost like double boots where he's got little booties and then thigh highs. Like he's like, no, 1 pair of shoes is not enough. Yeah, thigh highs and booties, folks.
I mean, I definitely can see modern day Mr. Sinister making that choice. I love how sassy he is now.
Oh yeah, they're writing him so perfect right now.
Yeah,
love it.
I love this design. This is another one of those ones that I love seeing pictures of, but I would be very annoyed drawing. I think like all the
ribbing across his chest and legs and body,
ribbing and the tassels and the double boots.
Gotta love the pop color though.
Yeah, for sure. It's just like somebody was like, Colossus is cool, but what if he was just nightmarishly complicated? What if it just took 3 times as long to draw?
some vengeful artist on his last day. Oh, I'm gonna design Mr. Sinister. Fucking
Yeah, yeah. I think Walt designed him for sure. I'm almost positive.
Definitely something to check out. I love, again too, we talked about before, is his name is unrevealed, not unknown, unrevealed. Like, you don't know yet that his name is Nathaniel Essex. You don't know that.
No. Oh no, he was in X-Men 221, so I bet that was Silvestri.
Okay, there we go. And it's funny because it's like certain times chats just like going like jumping up and down like, oh, this, that. They have nothing to say about Mr. Sinister. They're just like, I'm aware of him. Moving on. I just realized his mental powers are 6. What mental powers? I mean, okay. I don't know.
He's doing great.
Yeah,
It's almost gonna explode.
Yep.
Yeah, that is a Silvestri Dan Green issue.
Okay. Cream says you could. That's a flat top you can eat dinner off of. That is
Very true.
Very 90s.
Speaking of dinner, how about The Slug by Ron Lim?
Ooh, I love it. Give me a Slug action figure. Do they have a Marvel Legends of this guy?
He's a Build-A-Figure across like 3 series.
Yeah.
What a disgusting beanbag he's sitting in. Is that a beanbag? I hope that's not. I mean, I hope it's, I was like, is that his anus? Like that? I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm sorry, Comic Banter.
Yeah.
A gross dude.
It's okay. Well, I'll mark it NC-17. We're good. We're explicit content.
Or is it like a couch that just that's what happened? Like,
I think it's a cushion.
It used to be a couch.
yeah, exactly. The cheap couch. The Slug, man. Woo.
As I was going through these, as always, I'm kind of looking at the cards and I'm like, wait, although confined to a custom designed wheelchair / forklift and hindered by light sensitive eyes, his keen mind and scheming business abilities keep the millions rolling in. And I'm like, he's a 4. How's that a keen mind? And by the way, the Slug, exactly the same speed as Sabretooth, folks. The Slug and Sabretooth, they're dead heat in a race.
He's got that wheelchair forklift. Oh, I can asphyxiate a man in the fold of my flesh and have for less than that. Ugh, disgusting. It's like you can smell it. Ugh. I hate the Slug.
I mean, you still want his action figure, though, right?
I for sure want the action figure
because you can't smell the action figure. Like you put it.
It smells like plastic. I like the drawing a lot. I mean, I love his little fingers, like his little fat fingies.
It's as far as they go, as far as they could reach.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Also, like I like the Ron Lim put the vertical windows behind him just to sort of point out that, like, no, he's very big. You know, like you put like a straight up and down line behind somebody that's round like that. It sort of, by contrast, emphasizes how round he is. It's a nice touch. Gross though.
Yeah, very much so. And then
he's dealing drugs for the Kingpin on his yacht. So this guy's out on the sea. That seems like dangerous.
He's very buoyant though. That's the thing. Like that, he's like this is where I'm safest.
He definitely couldn't be dealing drugs on the street. Like he couldn't just run away from cops. I don't believe. Not with this one. Are
you not aware of his custom design wheelchair / forklift? Did I not mention that?
That's a dead giveaway. You think cops are going to see a guy with a forklift out on the street and just be like, he's probably not up to anything. This guy's the most noticeable guy on the block. I'm sure it's fine.
Very snappily dressed.
I think he's asphyxiating someone in the folds of his flesh.
Oh, man. I can't wait till his appearance when they relaunched Luke Cage and Daredevil. That'll be a really interesting cameo.
Yeah, love it.
Next up, we got Hate Monger by Mike Manley.
Very cool.
And yeah, I like all the heads behind him. It's just like, yeah, he hoards hate. He wants it.
Yeah. That's a
name
neat
unreal. Yeah.
The card back is great too. Like that drawing is neat too. A lot more like inky and designy than most of these have been. Like he's definitely doing some cutting edge stuff especially for 1991.
Yeah. Like all that black makes me think of Magnola. Is like there's someone who's like, oh, I just saw Mike's stuff. I'm gonna draw something like this, and like that's where it feels informed from.
Or like early Vertigo stuff too. Like it feels a little bit like that.
Yeah.
That's neat.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to say about Hate Monger. Just kind of like I mean I've heard of him before. There's also like another character that I think I get him mixed up with, but I don't know. I don't have a lot to say about him.
This quote too also is a little bit gross. Just roll it around on your tongue. Taste the hate. Taste it.
Yeah, taste it.
It's the rainbow.
This is Hate Monger 2. Like if this was Ohatmu, it would be Hate Monger 2, right? Because he's the latest supervillain to bear the name of Hate Monger. So he's not the KKK looking one, right?
That's the one that I'm thinking of. Is like the one with like the KKK, the Captain America villain. Whereas this one's in an Avengers. This one just appeared. His first appearance was the year the year before this card set was released. So I'm like, this
is like the Nomad Hate Monger, right? Like Nomad is the Captain America, what this guy is to the KKK Hate Monger.
There you go. Yeah, it's actually probably. I'm curious if it says in here somewhere mentions Nomad or at least U.S. Agent something.
Just the Avengers.
Okay, yeah.
It's just out there preaching his sinister sermon of hatred.
Well,
to the unsuspecting people. What? I mean, who's unsuspecting? You see this guy preaching and you're just like, I bet this will be nice. Let's go hear about Jesus.
They're just undecided. They're undecided about it. They're like, I don't know. I couldn't make up my mind between Hate Monger and Captain America. What do we do?
Very fine hate mongers on both sides.
Oh man. And then someone who's again just as kind of just like their bad guy, but I almost appreciate him a little more, like a Crossbones. Like you know, like you've seen in. It's funny to see like this design and then where they went with it in the MCU. By the way, by Ron Lim, so another classic piece by him. It's great like seeing this and then if you actually I'll flip it back because I have the power. The Captain America card that he did too. That like it's just a perfect kind of like here's Captain America
side by side.
Yeah. Oh, if I should have been more prepared and done it side by side.
Come on, Ken.
But like,
oh yeah. They go together.
It's just like they could be put them side by side in your binder, just in one sleeve in the same spot. You're set.
Yeah. Do the shapes go together? That'd be cool. A little bit.
Close, but
yeah. And like Crossbones, he's a bad guy, and like he still gets lots of play. Like you'd think he'd be outdated at some point, but he was in the Death of Captain America storyline. He's still kicking around with Red Skull's daughter. They're still finding things for him to do. It's interesting.
Yeah, well, because he's rad looking. Here it looks like he's like running away from a school gymnasium to me. Like that's what that background looks to me. Like, he just got out of swim class and he's like, all right, I gotta get to math.
Just stuck a kid in a locker and he's just running away.
Take that, Feldman. And so
they do nothing.
Of course, I've got the new recent Marvel Legends one where you build Crimson Dynamo, and it's just the same costume. And I love that they're like, no, we're doing that classic costume, doing it right.
The meanest mudder to ever put on a mask.
That's how he introduces himself. It's like, and then this is Crossbones. Hi, I'm Crossbones.
Not super powerful, and he still has, so a little bit of intelligence, a little bit of. He could fight.
He's faster than Sabretooth.
Yeah. Obviously. That's slow ass.
Wait, so does he get weak in the face of Hate Monger? We missed that. Yeah, that was for Hate Monger. So does he get weak in the face of happiness? He does. He's just like, oh god, these people are so happy.
He's Happy Hogan's arch nemesis, really.
There you go. I do like that Randolph is mentioning his day job was a PE teacher.
100%.
Like, I just clocked out. Now it's time for vengeance.
If they ever do like a JL8 version of the Marvel Universe, it'd be funny to have Crossbones as a PE teacher.
Gym teacher.
I love it.
That's why he intimidates me. I could never climb that rope.
Oh. Next up, we got Shiva by Mark Silvestri, a character who's dropped off, and I think maybe put to the point that no one wants to draw all of that. They're just like, no, I didn't. Did you look at him? I can't. Yeah. Like, he was really big.
I want to say they have brought him back once, and like, I think they even toned down a lot of his look because it's just insane. This is around what, Wolverine 50 that he came out in, and
Yep, first appearance, Wolverine 50.
Yeah, it was
It's like Strife, but harder.
Yeah.
Strife, but more strifey.
I'm glad they included his real name too.
Yes. Didn't want you to get mixed up with somebody else.
Oh, that's Shiva.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I feel did he come back in the Jason Aaron stuff? For some reason, I feel like
I want to say it might have been around then, because I know he came back within like the last 10 to 15 years. So it could have been that. I don't know if I'm confusing it with another run. I think you might be right. It might have been during that. And it was only for like an issue. Like it wasn't anything big.
Yeah.
One and done. Like, I mean, the character back then really didn't give much storytelling. So it is a stretch to kind of bring him back recently.
Crazy powerful though. Good Lord.
Yeah.
It's just like a Omega level toss-off character.
Kareem Anderson said he's the guy at the gym who said, "Hold my beer" when Silver Samurai walked in. This upstart mother right here.
I like the background Silvestri did on this. It's simple, but it's cool. It like has depth. I like that it has like that perspective going back in between. I mean, it's in between his legs, but it just sort of shoots the guy forward, in the card.
Yeah,
works real nicely. Cool card.
Call out to Alex comment. That's fully right. Adam X. Wow.
Driving Shiva in a competition for most spiky armor. I'm like, well, wait. So then you also need Destroyer in there, but version 1, so you get the spikes in there.
Spikes, yeah, of course. Not the one from this card set.
No, this one's smooth. This one's like, no, I'm going to be easier to draw, guys. It's okay.
Mark has to draw Shiva, so let's make this one easier.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm digging Shiva. He strikes me because it's like when he came up, it was definitely like prime when I started reading comics. Like, oh, Shiva's going to be around forever. Not so much. And then, I mean, like you said, he popped up. And that's one thing I love about the Jason Aaron recent X-Force stuff is he did a great job of like, oh, let me plumb some depths of like old characters that people have kind of forgotten about. And do you guys think about, this character, and does some good stuff there?
Yeah, it's a lot of those type of writers are just fans of all that stuff that we grew up on. So they're just taking advantage of being able to write those books and bring a lot of that stuff back and kind of do their own little twist.
I like that his quote is, "I am Shiva, I am the Destroyer." Just like, oh, the Destroyer? No. I mean, I see why you would think that because we have similar arms, but no. I just mean I'm going to destroy you.
Yeah, I do. Kareem Anderson said, let's not forget about Shredder from The Secret of the Ooze.
Sure.
Are you talking about Super Shredder from The Secret of the Ooze or just Shredder in general? Because there's two, like Super Shredder is awesome. Shredder's great too. But like I see Super Shredder as far more intimidating. Because when I think of Shredder,
he's saying Secret of the Ooze, right? Because otherwise it would just be the regular Shredder, right?
The one voiced by Uncle Phil, right? You just be like, oh yeah, that's Shredder. All right. Someone's got Randolph in there saying Mojo's one of my forgotten favorites. Definitely.
Are we getting a Mojo?
We are not getting a Mojo. Next up, I was about to say unfortunately, but fortunate for some people, we got Blackout, by Mark Texieri. Again, you've got one the Ghost Rider, so it's like let's get Mark in here.
Yeah.
One thing I found interesting though is in the tombstone by his foot, it says text backwards, and I'm curious if they flipped the art to get that, or if he wrote it backwards himself.
What would have been the point of flipping that art? It's so symmetrical anyway. Like that's a real strange move. But it does look like that's what happened.
The one thing I could think of is if the eye, he drew the enlarged eye on the wrong side.
Oh, okay.
And so then they just flipped that. That's the only thing I could think of. Like, that's the only thing that is, asymmetrical is his kind of two-facey face with that one big eye.
Yeah.
And so let's just flip it. And that's what I could think, but I don't even, yeah. Or he wrote it backwards and just to mess with me decades later.
He is two-faced. That's a good point. That must have been what happened. Not a super great quote. these last couple have been a little. I mean, you could tell that it's from 1990, or the last one was from like 1991. In the darkness, I shall rule all. Who cares?
Yeah. I like how many of the villains are unrevealed. Like, we just didn't care, or we didn't know any of these villains at the time. Like, no one had in, like, everything was a mystery in the 90s. Like, who's Gambit? You'll never know. Like, just best of luck. Who's this guy? Unrevealed. Just keep moving.
Yeah.
That's a story for another time.
All we know is he could fight like the Dickens.
He can, and he's faster than Sabretooth.
Much faster. You beat the crap out of Sabretooth in a race. Just be neck and neck with the Slug.
Cream Anderson wants to say with a jacket he looks like a zombie Gambit.
Mm-hmm.
Fair, yeah, I can't disagree there. That's fair enough because it's a very simple design. He just like t-shirt, pants, boots. Let's roll.
Belt.
All right.
Tucked in his t-shirt, so he's a little nerdy.
Yeah. So this is actually our last villain for the night. From here, we jump into rookies of the Pantheon.
Wow.
Yeah. So you've got, this is an interesting one too because it's a team to start off with. And so they show the leader, Agamemnon of the Pantheon. And I'm like, this is to me, like these guys are Hulk characters. And I'm like, I can't think that I've heard of them in the last, aside from this card, in the last 20 years at least. So, I mean, I've got nothing to say about Pantheon. Also, it bothers me because it's a Hulk team that he was on, and he's not in the picture. So, I guess he's not a rookie, but still, like, what? And why do we need a big, strong guy in this picture if Hulk's on the team? Like, what do we need two of them for?
I mean, the big, strong guy is my favorite part of the picture, though. My least favorite part of the picture, the business suit guy. Who gives a shit about that guy? Also, why is he kneeling down? He's in a suit. Like, why didn't one of these other people kneel down? Like, exercise clothes on. He's like, I'll just kneel down over here in my expensive pinstripe suit. Yeah, that guy. Like, I want to see more of that big guy. He looks so cool. He's got like that. Like, I love that neck thing that's coming. Like, it looks like his back muscles are just growing up into an armor that's going to come over the top of him. He sort of looks like Holocaust from Age of Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Less cool, but still like similar vibe.
Going down that angle, yeah.
Again, it's a 90s thing, I guess, but it's also getting where we talk about all the lines and all the ribbing on them.
Yeah.
The artist is like, okay, so, or Kirk Jarvinian every time. Thank you. He's like, oh, I'm going to put this guy in the back so I don't have to draw all that stuff. Everyone to the front of the picture. Everyone just kind of block him off, and he'll have his head there. Like, just popping in like a little purple-headed Buzz Lightyear. But there he is.
Blonde lady in the completely blank red jumpsuit. She's drawn fully. Detail guy goes in the back. How do you say Agamemnon? Agamemnon?
Yeah.
Have to.
Agamemnon. Yeah. Cream Anderson wants to know who let the financier in the picture. Hey, he's paying for this, okay? He hired a photographer. He set up the date. He did everything. So I'm going to be in this photo, okay?
He pays the rent at the Mount.
Exactly. You don't just rent out the Mount for nothing. Like you got.
Love it.
No one else has anything to say. I'm going to step back and let my co-host take the reins right here and tell us about card 142, Slapstick.
Slapstick! Yes! He's colored all wrong. This is the only thing that gets me with this card. The coloring is wrong on this card. But considering that the comic book came out, like right around the same time as the...
It doesn't even have the date. It just says number 1. It doesn't say the date.
They didn't know it was being released when they did the card. I remember seeing this card, oh, this is really cool. And then the comic coming out, and the colors were completely different. The style is somewhat the same.
James Fry. This is the only card he's done in the entire set, and it's this card, and because it's the artist from the series.
But he didn't color it because the colorings are all wrong.
Yeah.
And it's I remember that irked me going back to this set. Like, as much as I love that set, the coloring always irked me. But it's like this guy that makes a bad deal with the Devil Clown and becomes this cartoonish character, and he decides to be a superhero with his magic mallet or whatnot. And I mean, the guy's existed decades because of being on teams like the New Warriors and whatever team that Deadpool created with his whole like slew of mercs for
Merch for the money.
Mercs for the money. And then he finally got his own little miniseries out of that, which was kind of fun, but outside like me, the coloring irking me. There's just an internal soft spot for this really cheesy character. I remember it being a fun book then, and like the miniseries that came out recently was fun as well. I mean, it's exactly what it is. You read the comic and you're getting it. Like you read his name, that's where you're getting his comic. All the humor was just stupid slapstick humor. If you're a fan of that, that's what you're gonna get. And I love that because it just he's the Mask. Shut up.
He was designed by the Warner Brothers and the Warner sister.
Die.
Also on that new series.
Which one came first?
Oh, I think the Mask with the Dark Horse or Oni who did the Mask?
Dark Horse.
Dark Horse.
Okay.
December 1991.
Oh, when did Slapstick make his debut?
It would have been.
I do know that.
I mean, they could have been in production at the same time. This is 1992, though. Or maybe it came out right after. Did they just rip off the goddamn Mask?
For the more recent Slapstick series, a lot of those covers were done by David Nakayama, and they are awesome. He nails them. It's got a lot of whimsy, and also the coloring's great. I definitely highly recommend that new series covers. Take a look at them. They're really good.
Victor, it was 11 months later. Those bastards. How could they do this? This really is like tearing apart my childhood. I thought this was the coolest, most original thing because I did not have Dark Horse comics at my 7-Eleven and shit.
This is
so
like
I
the
didn't discover the Mask until much later. Until, I guess, 2 years later when the movie came out.
And then Len Kaminsky decided, no, I'm going to tell my story. By the way, he was on the New Warriors, the Initiative, which I forgot that he was part of that whole Avengers Initiative stuff too.
It's weird because he was only a background character. He had maybe one word bubble in that whole run, and it was odd because it's the character you see for the most part, and he wore army pants.
Yeah, I vaguely remember.
They just because all the Initiative people had to wear army pants for some reason, so he did too. It was just odd.
I saw this card before I saw the. I mean, it might have come out before the comic, but I didn't know that he existed in the Marvel Universe, and I also didn't know that like Howard the Duck had existed in the Marvel Universe because I was pretty new to comics when this set was coming. I was like 2 years in or 3 years in, and there was no internet, obviously. So like when I saw this guy, I was just like, this is a real thing. Like there's cartoons in this world too. That's so crazy. Then I'm like, is the Alf comic, does that take place? Is Captain America and Alf too? Like, is it all fit together?
Strange enough, I did think didn't Marvel did produce the Alf comic, didn't they?
They did, yeah.
They did. I was pulling that up right now, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure that was that.
Was that one of the Star comics or?
No, it was after Star Comics.
Okay.
It might have been. I feel like Star didn't last very long. I think it was just a Marvel comic. But it was not in the Marvel universe.
Yeah, it's got our classic Marvel letter corner box that we like with Alf in it.
Yeah. Okay.
Before he went to Pog form.
Alf
the comic
was there
was
for the changing of the logo too, because the first ones have the original, like the cool sans serif font, and then he gets the graffiti comics in the later issues. Sorry,
Marcus Critter Paladin wants to know: did you know Howard from the movie for Howard the Duck? Tony? Yeah,
I knew Howard the Duck the movie. And it had duck boobs in it, of course.
Thank you, George Lucas.
But I didn't even know he was a comic book. I just thought it was just like a wild ass thing that happened in movies.
I saw that movie. I was just about to say before I should have as a child, but then again, that there's lots of questions of whether you should watch the movie or not. But I do remember seeing that movie, and I didn't get like a third of the jokes. but I do remember watching it. I'm like, this is cool because it was this interesting animatronics and like they did the stop motion with the villains and stuff for the scorpion creatures. I'm like, that's so cool because it was at the time. I mean, yeah, the story was crazy, but
I always loved those like oddball characters like Howard the Duck and of course Slapstick and Spider Ham and what was the one from was it Forbush Man?
Yes. With the
Yeah.
pot on it. I always thought he was Case Pot Pete because he had a pot, but he was Forbush.
I loved all that stuff.
Well, what you don't know about the Forbush? No, I'm kidding. That's not.
You bastard! Don't you ever do that again.
There's the entire line of what the Marvel Legends
Toy Biz actually did, I think, sculpt a mold for Forbush Man as a figure. When they did the X Babies, I think they also did that one too.
Yeah, it's in like I'm one of the wizards of like toy lines that didn't make it. I think that sounds familiar.
I was the only person that sent a letter in.
Alex is mentioning that Alf lasted for 50 issues and had Bill Sienkiewicz on cover 2. Good heavens, I don't know why it's so hard to say.
Dude, where's the omnibus of that? Damn.
Yeah. Like
I wonder. I mean, I guess they could get the rights to the Muppet Babies again. But they did the Muppet Babies annual or the omnibus, but I wonder if they don't have the rights to Alf anymore.
Wow. Now I need to track down that Muppet Babies omnibus because I love those.
I got it right here.
See, he could do it too, Ken.
Look at that.
Look at that monster.
A true beauty. Is Marie Severin all through this thing, just killing it. Beautiful work. I was like, when I got the job on Muppet Babies, I was like, let me get this just in case I need to refer to it, and I have yet to need to refer to this. It was one of those purchases that was like, I'm going to write this off.
I love going to the tax guy, and let me see, you have a receipt here for the Muppet Babies omnibus? Yes, that was for work.
Thank you. If we're being honest, I write off every comic. So
as well you should.
That works out pretty good.
All right. I think we've covered Slapstick quite a bit. Not enough, but quite a bit.
I feel like Victor could have like just a straight Slapstick episode.
Oh, hey. Impossible Men. You know what?
Oh, thank you, good sir.
I'm curious if there was ever a moment that they met in What Thus or anything. Like, that definitely seems like an opportunity that was missed.
Not Slapstick. Like, he pretty much outside of his original miniseries, during this time, he was really only in New Warriors during this time period. It wasn't until what I think it was Avengers Initiative that we saw him again. That was like over a decade.
Easily.
Yeah.
Impossible Man 2 was a more like of a Mr. McSpittlelicks type too. Like besides just having cartoon powers, he also was like a genie,
strangely enough, Impossible Man came out 11 months after McSpill Payload.
Got him. They did it again.
They did it again.
House of Ideas, my ass.
House of someone else's ideas.
Yeah, I mean, they're still ideas, technically. Just
obviously, no, Sentry was an original character. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Next up is Captain Marvel. I mean, next up is Cerise. Cerise. Oh no, it is Cerise. Yeah, it is Cerise. I thought it was Cersei too when I was scanning. I'm like, no, wait, no, this is Cerise.
My whole childhood, I said Cersei. Why?
But then again, didn't we have Cersei on the Avengers?
We also have we have Cersei on the Avengers, who's an Inhuman, if I remember correctly, and then there's also external. Thank you. Yeah, and then there's also Cersei on DC as well.
That's right. Yeah.
And you want to have more trouble pronouncing things? She's Cerise, warrior of the Grand Jahar, gene stock of Sebruki, Zarstok, and Kulaka. Man,
of course.
What a quote. A+ quote.
It was, again, it's the 90s, and they're like, hey, let's go to some crazy places with Excalibur, and they did. Like the Excalibur was an X book that was out there, and they were just like, we're gonna go into the land of the fairies, we're gonna meet any number of different random things, and of course the multiverse from Captain Britain, which is a cool twist.
Yeah. So Otherworld popping off right now.
Oh yeah, and, Ten of Swords.
What do we
Huge.
think? How are we doing so far? Ten of Swords. Seems like I don't care. I don't care
we're
yet.
what, two issues in.
I don't care about that white the albino guy with the summons monsters. Like
Apocalypse grandson.
Yeah, the summoner.
Yeah.
Spoilers. When he turned on them, I was just like, "Who cares? He's brand new. Like we didn't know. Why did we think he was good? Just because he lived on Krakoa?"
Especially because the way he carried himself leading up to it, like is
very
a large
suspicious.
mystery. The most we got out of it was finally like, oh yeah, he's a descendant of Apocalypse, and it's like
it's probably
that's
good.
it. So it's like, oh, okay.
Curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal. Like
Exactly. It was like the last page of the first issue too. They were like, "You have to get 10 swords," and I was like, "Well, for God's sake." We could have just said that in the first page and then got to get 10 swords. I'm excited to see him have the swords. That's what I want.
I know, and we get like I think a quarter, not even a quarter, like got one of them at the end of part 2, and so it's like, and the one we got was like, yeah, we know she has a sword. I mean, it's magic. That was a surprise. Like,
yeah, that's the easiest one.
It was like the obvious one that everyone already has a sword, and we already expected her to be a part of it. So
does Wolverine still have that sword that he was chasing around back in the?
Muramasa?
They alluded to him having to hunt it down. Like they make a bit in the last in the X Factor issue, they made it sound like he currently doesn't have it, but like it's going to be hard. But then I think the next part is Wolverine, so it's probably going to be about him hunting it down.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I'm into that. I remember that sword factored heavily into that Paul Smith Wolverine and Kitty Pryde miniseries too.
So
written by the incredible Japanese author Akira Yoshida, as I recall. Most honorable.
And we haven't talked about this character at all.
Yeah.
I mean, what's to say?
He was on Excalibur.
Yeah.
The end.
I have next to nothing to say about her. The chat is just silent about Charisse.
I'm trying to remember.
Her fighting ability apparently is phenomenal. She's a 6. Like she's just under Sabretooth, but she can outrun him, so she's fine.
Yeah.
I remember they kind of threw, like a lot of artists during this time would throw a lot more muscle on her than a lot of other characters, especially because she has her shoulders more visible, so they try to give her a lot of tone in those areas. So,
yeah. Cream said she was waiting for us to talk about her. Look at that pose. Fair enough.
Quite a long time.
She was. Yeah. I respect that. She was impatient. I get that.
And honestly, if we don't stay enough here, we could bring it up when we get to the team card. So.
And if you'd like to hit us up on Comic Banter, if you've got @Comic Banter on Instagram, Twitter, and yes.
Yeah, I like the card. Agree. I love those knee pads. Like I like the whole thing, and I like that she's one of these many characters that had like a subset of a Wolverine hair. You know, like different types of Wolverine, like Farrah Fawcett hair, Wolverine hair, like really curved.
Press it down with a little metal cap in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah, is that like for safety? Is that a helmet?
Head injuries, you got to be safe.
Yeah,
she lives in a lighthouse too, so who knows?
Hey, you never know if you might fall out of that thing.
And yeah, and it's funny because it's like moving out from one thing who you might not have a lot to say, but one you may or may not. The Darkhold Redeemers, which even the Book of the Darkhold made it into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., oddly enough.
Cool.
And like it's one of those random like this got some mention in the modern universe. I don't know where it ended up in the comics, but it was definitely like it was a hot moment where like Midnight Suns was going on and we were into this kind of dark goth stuff. And
well, the books existed a lot longer than the actual team, right? Like I remember reading about it before this came out, like in Doctor Strange and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I got nothing for this. Like,
card's neat. Like it looks like a team of Darkhold Redeemers for sure. I definitely think the team leader Vicky Montesi, she's over it. She's just like, yeah, I'm the leader of the Darkhold Redeemers. Yeah. So
I feel like I've seen her somewhere recently, like a Loki miniseries or something. Now that I think about it, I think she popped up there somewhere. Oh, it's
Vicky
also
Montesi?
was. Yeah, I want to say she was, because they brought the Darkhold into a recent Loki series, but now I'm gonna have to double check that. Critter Paladin in chat says it was an Agent Carter show too, right? I don't think so, because they had like a. I'm not sure. I'm trying to remember if they did. I remember them having a kind of like dark energy thing, but I specifically remember it in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season that had Ghost Rider. Yeah, Robbie Reyes, and then a cool nod to the Johnny Blaze design. But the Robbie Reyes story arc, that was like the MacGuffin they were chasing was the Darkhold.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about the Agent Carter. I'm kind of curious now. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely kind of like, it was of the time. It was very much like, oh, we're into Gotham. Oh, he's saying no, it was Runaways. That makes sense, because there's definitely, of the different characters in the Runaways and the different families and houses, there's one that is a more mystic arts, and so the Darkhold would make sense being referenced by it.
In the Rainbow Rowell Runaways, or in the BKV?
The TV show, I think. He's referring to the TV show. Yeah, no, I don't. It could have also. He said the TV show. I know was a crossover between the shows. There you go. Yeah, I don't know if it was in the. It definitely. I mean, it would make sense if they dropped it into the Brian K. Vaughan run, but they didn't. I mean, it depends on which house and family they were talking about, but it makes sense that if it was in the TV show, though.
I feel like it would be in the Minoru house, right? Like they were the ones that were like the occults.
The magic house, yeah.
Magic ones, yeah.
Also, the Minoru's are also in the Runaway series as well, the live action one.
Yeah, well, they all are.
Yeah. Oh, but I'm sorry, but my other thought they're also in the Doctor Strange TV or movies as well. One of the mother, the actress that plays like the mother in, I want to say the school with Doctor Strange. There's a mother there. Like if you look in the credits, there's a Minoru there, and then there's also one in the. I want to say.
Oh right, yeah, like they're training to be Sorcerer Supremes, right? And one of them is a Minoru. Yeah. That's right. Yep. I do remember that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, so cool.
Cloak and Dagger crossed over there too. That's interesting. I did not know. I haven't seen either of the Freeform shows.
It was it was one Freeform, the other one was Hulu.
Okay, yeah.
And it crossed over in the last season of Runaways.
Man, I forgot that there was ever a book, just like a series called Darkhold. They really snuck that one out there. I don't know how many issues it ran for. I think at least like 14 issues.
Creemander says, in the art, she looks like a character Kristen Stewart will be playing soon. Mm-hmm. I was actually thinking Kristen Ritter, but both Kristens work in this scenario.
She does have a Jessica Jonesy vibe. Any Kristen will do.
Yeah.
My sister Kristen has a very similar vibe to this also. She often will have colorful hair like that.
I hope she's in the chat to chime in on that, because that's awesome.
She don't care about my nonsense. Look, you think that chick cares about this shit? She's not watching hour 3 of the Marvel card show.
Fair enough. But see, then she's going to miss out on my favorite Guido, Strong Guy by Ron Lim.
Nice.
Look at that.
Hell
I love it. As always, with the toy minute, there's got the new action figure. Baff is out of that. It's just this giant chest and these tiny little legs.
I thought you had one behind you.
I don't have one yet.
Oh, Ken.
I know. I'm so
How'd you
sorry.
even show your face here?
I'm so sorry. Everyone, I leave the stream to you guys now. Also, by the way, Critter Pound says, my sister also cares nothing for this nonsense. I mean, it's Ron Lim's doing it. It's great. I like his version. I like Larry Stroman's version of Strong Guy. Just this oddly proportioned dude. Just
it's the style of the character is perfect. That's how we're used to him. And
I love I love the Bill Sienkiewicz strong guy. I guess his first appearance was Bob McLeod. And I can't remember. That was from the annual, so I can't remember that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite characters around this time. It's just like so cool, so ridiculous, and like his power is that if you hit him, he gets bigger, right? Like if you the more you pound on him, the more muscly he gets. Is that right?
Yeah, like he just turns that energy into strength. Cream Sanderson says those proportions make no sense. They don't. That's actually kind of the point of the character. It's just like all that muscle is just accrued by more kinetic energy being built up into him.
Yeah,
and just he becomes this giant mass. He can, like, as he expends the energy, he can drop down to a more manageable size. But this version was just like nonsensical proportions.
Yeah,
I
love this guy. Go ahead.
No, I just like you gotta love to see how every writer tries to play with this character. I mean, Peter David's really done the most with him, obviously, with 2 X Factor runs, and then eventually making him King of Hell, which is an interesting twist. But he's always he's always like this cheeseball, says the stupidest thing type of character, And Kareem, you're totally right. Like this. And like his quote is like totally dates him, but at the same time, like every quote dates him.
Yeah,
like it's kind of goes in part with the type of character he is. It's so funny.
Yeah, he's very superficial in at least his what he puts out there. He has a deeper side at times, and that's kind of the good way that Peter David writes him. But for the most part, he just kind of puts out a certain facade, and that's like he's a strong guy. Hence, his name is just like I'm strong guy. Like that's just me, guys. What's your power? I'm the strong guy. So it's very fitting, and it's like I like that he's really superficial as far as everyone knows, and like there's something there beneath it, but he doesn't want to let on. He's just I'm strong guy. That's it.
Yeah.
Like
even being in a dystopian universe like the Age of Apocalypse, he still calls himself the strong guy. So like nothing changes like this guy's personality, despite how harsh realities could be. So
he's a very strong personality, and I like it when he does do like when Peter David goes deep on him and sort of like gives you a peek behind the curtain. That's always great too. Like A+. Love this character. Love Ron Lim. Way to go.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Critter Paladin says, I was always confused as to whether he was supposed to be strangely proportioned or just big, and the art was stylized. Yes, the answer is yes. Just it's both. It's stylized, and that's the proportions, and just got to roll with it for him.
Yeah.
Going from one very, very specifically designed character to just like kind of like, boom, Bishop by Carl Alstetter. This is a great one because it calls back to our Professor X, but this one. In the just above the window, it says Carl and then Jim Lee. So it's like so far we've had two cards drawn by Carl and then inked by Jim Lee, and you've got Bishop. And it's like it's funny because it's like the one person I know who loves him the most is not in chat, and I'm like, well, you're missing out on this Bishopy goodness.
Yeah,
I like great. Also, the we talked about it before, like the shape of the window of the cutout there helps to draw your attention right up to that fist that's all glowy and energy, and he's got his gun. Like that's every action figure I've had of Bishop is just like here's Bishop and here's a gun. Like that's all that's what you get. And I dig it.
Yeah, I love Bishop's bandana. I love everything about Bishop in this era. Like the design is so cool. Carl and Will sort of like I feel like they jammed on that design. Like I feel like they did it together. I'm not sure if that's 100% or not, or if that's maybe just like behind the scenes shit. I don't know. But it's great anyway. Like the thing they come up with. I love his mullet. Like not nearly enough black mullets in comics. I feel like only a few really. But his is definitely the king of them all. Like it's just like a mane. He looks like the Lion King, just so badass. At this one, they do like Jim Lee, a little known inker Jim Lee. sort of like inked the
now.
ink the energy projection just out to the edge of the card, right? And then it just has to fit into that square. So it's like it goes out to the bleed or whatever. That's kind of a bummer because it just looks like he's, like it's like a phoenix started to happen and then just sort of like
he punched it. And the Phoenix slide by, like, get out of here, Phoenix.
Like he
this
grabbed
is my card.
Yeah.
Critter Paladin's in chat saying like the placement of the barrel tip with the circle is wonky. It does. It kind of throws it off. It has a weird just off a little bit. But I hear you.
It's a tangent. It's a bummer.
The Cream Man says the second coolest black man to rock a curly mullet. I'm now in my head thinking who's the first, and I'm really curious who's the first coolest black man to rock a mullet. Like I think of like you've got the Jerry curl in like in the back, but let us know because I'm very curious.
I think it's Barry White.
Okay, I guess my era of Barry White was different because I don't remember the mullet phase, but I'm down if that's number one. I co-sign that.
That's my answer. Sticking to it.
The coloring on the portrait reminds me of the coloring of Uncanny X-Men. Yeah, I mean. Now I'm curious as who did the coloring on that because it's interesting. Like there's little hints in the inset picture where I can see almost somewhat like I want to say Larry Stroman. Like I see little bits of that in the. I don't know if it's because of the coloring or whatnot, but I think of like the Tribe book. I don't know. I don't know why that's coming through, but that's in my head.
Yeah, I get that.
Eric de La Sole needs to play him in the live action version. I don't know who that is.
Eric LaSalle?
Eric LaSalle. There we go. I'm losing points left and right here, folks. I like that his fight ability's up there at the high end, but he has a 2 on energy projection, which I'm like, I get he redirects energy, but at least he redirects it as a blast. So why is it only a 2? I don't know. Also, he's a time traveler, so he has tons of knowledge of the future. So why is his intelligence only a 2? I don't know.
Is it intelligence? I guess intelligence. Like if I just know about what happened in the world around me, that counts as intelligence, sure. Eric LaSalle, of course, the heir to the McDowell's fortune and Coming to America. You may remember.
Okay, yeah, I'm on board. Especially because he'd be a time traveler, let's bring him forward. I like it.
Yeah,
that's perfect. So Biff had intelligence. Fair enough. Okay, yeah, that's. I guess I will reevaluate my opinion on intelligence versus time travel. You have fixed that timeline in my head, sir. The Biff Tannen timeline that we are currently living in is not good. You're right. Oh, Daryl from Coming to America. Yeah, I got you. Thank you very much. And Creemass is like, thank you. All right, and so I mean, I feel like I said my bit about it. Anybody else leave anything off on Bishop?
I'm just going to say Carl Altstetter, one of the greats, one of LA's greatest people. And I haven't seen him in probably a couple of years thanks to this stupid disease. So I miss
think
Carl. Carl, I love you.
Yeah, one of the last times would have been at Comics and Toys for Free Comic Book Day.
That might be the last time. Yeah, more than a year ago now.
Oh, it's see, Cream Mountain said he's also got a scarf. He's from 2020. That's
true.
Yeah, he's. Oh man. Okay, I need to. You win the no prize this show. That was well done. Well done, sir.
He can go into Ralph's. He can go anywhere.
Exactly.
He said.
He's also not going to pitch a fit. He's just going to be like, yeah, I know what to do. I want to. Next up, we've got Silhouette, which at the time I'm like, this is cool. Like a character who's differently abled and she's a superhero. Yeah. I thought this was a cool idea. There's another character that came out in the same time, Turbo, and like that was another take on a kind of change up of a basic idea of a hero. Turbo was cool to me. Yeah, and she's actually made a comeback in recent stories. I want to say, in a Captain America book. It's been like her and a few other characters have kind of popped back up in recent stories.
Oh, during like the Cat Falc run.
Yeah, the Falcap run, and then also a little bit after that too, when Cap was like depowered and then repowered. I'm trying to remember when that was, but yeah, it's fairly recent.
I like this character, but again, I'm just like, what are they giving Brett Blevins for this? Like, just seems so random. It doesn't have any connection. Like, there's no, I don't know. Nice job, Brett Blevins. I don't know how on earth you got these assignments. Like, who did he piss off that they're just like, oh, Brett Blevins, goddamn national treasure. Just like, we'll give him Darkchild and Silhouette.
Well, I find it funny. He was like, well, fine. My background for this one, a floor. Deal with it. We're done here.
Silhouette, one of the most impossible words for me to spell, for sure. I have to always spell check it. Most times I don't even get close enough that it will spell check. I have to like go to Google and describe a silhouette and hope that the correct spelling pops up.
Yeah, fair enough. I like that Cream Anderson has already noted that she is still faster than Sabretooth.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that dude, he has one rock as his foot. He's like a Green Army man. It's just like one thing that's stuck together. So that's Sabretooth, guys.
I never thought we stood for the ends justifying the means.
Yeah, she got principles, okay? See, her intelligence is right up there with Punisher's.
Yeah. Wait, so which one? Who's Dwayne Taylor? Is that Night Thrasher?
Yes. Wait.
No.
Well, now that you ask, I can go.
Well, both him and
yeah, I'm pretty sure Dwayne Taylor is the first one, and his brother was Randy.
Yeah, Dwayne Michael Taylor.
Dwayne was the one that died in Civil War, right?
That checks out. It's so weird that she would say her lover Dwayne Taylor. Like, come on, man, don't make me do all this work. The same one, like Night Thrasher, or the other Dwayne Taylor from 325 and Park. Man.
Oh man, I know his card is just so lost. There it is.
Eventually, Taylor and his heroic guys as Night Thrasher.
There's Dwayne Taylor.
Dig it.
So yeah,
I didn't even remember him taking a lover, but this is apparently something that was going on back in these days. Him and Silhouette.
Yep. Unbeknownst to us, the common man.
Yeah.
So then we move forward from a new Warriors character to a character from Excalibur, Kylun.
Another rookie from Excalibur.
And since I'm not that good at pronunciation, does anyone want to read his quote?
Splorch, flup, plop, eek, buck, stam. I think.
That sounds about right.
Do you think any of those two swords are any of the 10 of swords at all? Let's see here. What if Kylun's swords are in the mix?
I think you just like blew someone's mind, and if Hickman's like listening, he's like, guys, I just saw this podcast the other day. I got a plan.
We got to change the ending.
Hickman's definitely watching. He watches all the podcasts.
Yeah.
That's a guy that really gives a shit about nerds. He's like, I gotta see what these nerds are saying.
He's like, I had these cards.
Let me just spend my whole weekend watching this program. The twin mystical blades of Zizara, capable of slashing an evil menace and possessing the mutant ability to imitate any sound. Not the best mutant ability. He sort of looks like Ron Perlman, huh?
Yeah.
Oh man, well yeah, Beast from the Beast version, yeah, definitely, I definitely see that.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I wonder if the Blades of Zazaria are in those charts in the X of Tens, or the X of Tens of Swords of X.
At the end of part 1, they did list all the swords.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen that one.
Where's that stupid thing? I don't have it. All right, Kylun.
Someone, we're curious if he is floating, sitting, jumping, squatting. What the hell is the pose?
Listen, Dennis Cowan is a genius. He's doing whatever. Fine. Did you draw the Liquid Swords cover? No? Then it's fine.
Maybe he's wall sitting. He's tiptoeing.
Liquid Swords.
I think that he's tiptoeing.
He's tiptoeing, He's sneaking up on somebody.
And for our last card for the night, a rookie on the Guardians of the Galaxy Talon by Jim Valentino. There's times where I'm just at a loss, and this is not one of them because Talon. No, I don't. I know nothing. There's times where I'm just like, I mean, I remember the Guardians of the Galaxy from this era. They never did it for me. Like Charlie 27 just wasn't my jam. I mean, being a Guardian ought to be the blast, if not for other reasons than to torment Charlie 27.
I heard Jim Valentino, I think he was on Cartoonist Kayfabe, and he was basically pitching. It was his pitch for what Guardians of the Galaxy was, and I was like, "That's what it was? Why didn't anybody ever tell me that? That it's just like the Marvel Legion of Superheroes. Like, I'm on board for that. If you tell me that's what it is, like it's just like 100 years into Marvel's universe's future before there's a 2099. Like, I want to see what that's all about." But it was never pitched to me like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can see that. It never quite landed for me. Like, I saw these cards and I was just kind of like, okay, I guess I get it. I don't know. It never quite landed for me.
So he's like a disciple of the 31st century Sorcerer Supreme. So he's sort of like a Wong, like a future Wong.
Yeah.
And then but also is a Catman.
Yeah.
Agile. Agility is not even one of the things. He's just agile anyway.
Yeah. His mental powers, nothing. He's borderline, and he's not overly powerful for most of this. He's just kind of, yeah.
What do we think? Oh, he's firing off his claw. That's what's going on.
Which always weirded me out that he's just like, my Boink. Nail.
Yeah, fingernail clippings. It's stuck in the rug. Boink.
Anderson's curious, does Talon use the litter box /beach or an actual toilet? I don't know. That's
future, though. He might use the seashells.
There you go. The 3 shells.
He's from the future, so
yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, this guy's fine. The thing that also never screamed 100 years in the future to me about Guardians of the Galaxy is they didn't have like techie costumes. Like this guy's still just dressed like a circus guy, even though it's way in the future, like it's like they grew past. I mean, I guess maybe it makes sense, like technology gets smaller and smaller, so it doesn't have to be this big, cable. Like I always think of technology, I think of like John Romita Jr.'s Cable, Blood and Iron miniseries. Like that's how tech looks to me. So like I expect these characters in the future would have these big crazy, robot suits and shit. But he just has like a onesie, like a little lady's one piece.
Yeah, well, it looks like one of the it was the 90s. So those giant V where it goes from the crotch all the way up to the shoulders, like that's just one piece. Like that's how we're doing it.
Like Stephanie Seymour. Yeah,
there you go, like Borat. Yeah. It looks like he carries spare claw ammo on his bracelets. Yeah, and maybe he's just like flicking those at people, just like, take that.
Anything will do. Yeah, well, he's a cat person. You know how they do.
Yeah,
he's got little Gamora eyes. And his face, he looks just so coy. He's just like, oh, who, me, Talon? Oh, nothing.
Creep Anderson saying he stole that cuff from Hot Topic when he was 16. He is a rookie, so it's certainly possible that he was recently in a Hot Topic and just before he made the cut.
Hot Topic's lost all of us.
Exactly. That is it for the rookies, and that's it for the cards for the night. I'm definitely always curious to see what everyone enjoyed the most throughout the show today. I'm going to run back to start out because we started with Thanos. Character-wise, started pretty strong. Layout-wise, not as strong. But, does anyone have any favorites? I'm going to slowly click through. If you see something, shout it out, including those in chat. Let me know what you think.
I definitely am going to say the Sabretooth was a good one.
Yeah.
I remember liking that one quite a bit. I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, that might be the winner for the night. Like, it's just so great. And, like, iconic. Like, when I think of Sabretooth, I think of him like that, Maybe it's just because maybe that's how he always shows up in the books, or maybe it's just how, like, fundamental this card was to my memory of what Sabretooth was.
No, it's true because he's poised and ready to strike. Like he's feral. Like he's ready to tear someone apart.
Very slowly.
Not to be confused with the character Feral, who was also in the set a different time. Yeah.
Also a cat person.
Also another cat person.
But not like the one whose name I've already forgot.
But not Talon.
Talon.
And not Wolfsbane, because she's a wolf character. She's canine. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Vic, did you got anything in the pipeline? I'm guessing, obviously, Sabretooth's going to be a strong contender.
That Silvermane is a cool-looking card. Oh, the Cardiac one was great, too. There was a good run here.
Yeah, the Eric Larson Cardiac was pretty amazing. Sabretooth, I think out of all of them, Sabretooth probably takes the cake. Cardiac's probably really close to it. I think if you're trying to find a good gem, it's probably the Pantheon, I think.
We're just gonna fast forward right to Pantheon, folks.
I love that Mr. Sinister too. That Walt Simonson Mr. Sinister was a great card. I mean, it was just like a basic pose, but just like a really nice drawing. That's what Walt Simonson do. He's very talented.
Yeah.
Pantheon.
Yeah. So you got Alex Chung in the comment section saying Sabretooth and Thanos are the best of the bunch here. I can definitely, I mean, we're on board for Sabretooth. I'm definitely digging Sabretooth.
Thank you, Cree. Totally agree.
Thanos is a strong contender. I mean, no matter what, the character is good. It's good art. Just sometimes we're our only complaint, I think, is the spacing just feels a little bit doesn't it when Zarko is more imposing than you, I think the designer could have let that power, like the smoke coming off his hands, run off of the side of the card, and you could have made him about 50% bigger, and it would have been just like the star of the set, you know? Yeah.
I don't care about that Kirby tech in the background.
Yep. Let's see. We've got Cream saying Sabretooth was a favorite art for Entertainment Pantheon. All right. Sure. Definitely on board with both those, with all those reads.
Zarko, just like the Puppet Master last time, had just like wild ass eyebrows.
Yeah, crazy eyebrows, yeah.
It's like the Martin Scorsese of supervillains.
Let's see. On our I can't believe, Victor, you didn't say slapstick. It's the coloring. Okay. Fair enough.
Love the character, hate the coloring.
Not too much. Yeah.
No love for Vicky Montesi.
Yeah, no, Vicky or the Kristens, as we'll now refer to them as.
My sister.
Yeah.
Shout out my sister Kristen.
I checked the swords from Ten of Swords, and those ones weren't listed.
Oh, I hope it comes up. Good Lord. What if it happens?
Cream Anderson said Zarko looks like I'm like, man, that's where he's been. And that's what that giant cube is. That it was in that one shot. It's his table. It comes down.
Yeah. You see the top of it has just got uncooked shrimp in a little pile.
A little volcano he built with onions.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I mean, Bishop's a pretty strong contender for me. I think Sabretooth's probably up there, but definitely a nice run-up is going to be Bishop for me.
Yeah, that Bishop's great.
Yeah. I
love the angle on Silhouette and Cardiac, too. Like, they're both that overhead angle, but both of them, like, the perspective on them really works. And this one especially, they work the perspective with the shadow and with the geometric shape in the background. The intern did.
Yeah. Definitely some good stuff there. I love Cardiac's probably up there too. Man, he's easily top 5 for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Eric Larson is probably the star of this set. Like, as far as like doesn't have a bad card. Every time he comes out, you're just like, this is the best one that we've seen. You know, like he just is killing it. It's like a format that that you wouldn't expect that Eric Larson would be great at, but the trading card is another thing that he excels at.
That's fair, yeah, because it's like, I mean, we talk about like guys like Lee Weeks, who like we all love some of Lee Weeks stuff, but like when you see some of his cards, you're like, okay, so did they just gave him like hey, here's 20 minutes, can you draw us an Iceman card? And he's like, yeah, I can draw you an Iceman in 20 minutes, but It's going to look like I took 20 minutes. He's like, we need a card. Just get it done. Like,
Yeah.
all right, dude, chill out.
Yeah, the large. They always look like he was thinking about them 3-dimensionally. You know, like thinking about how like this almost looks like a hologram card, and it's not a hologram. You know, like it just has so many planes and like. Go back to it real quick.
Yeah, I'm jumping back. Sorry.
Come on, Ken.
Oh my God.
The way you're looking down on him, but then he's holding his staff up, so like it's like the perspective is down, and then it brings you back up. Like it's just super good. And I'm not sure what it is, but like the way that his shoulder pads are the same shape as like some of those broken rocks in the background. It must have been so confusing to look at in black and white. But just like it also somehow makes it like I don't know what about it is. It's weird that I can't put my finger on what about it is that works, but it's almost like those Magic Eye posters where it's like a repeating element, and then it looks a little bit more 3D when you put it up against. I don't know. Maybe I'm just full of shit, but it looks great to me.
No, it's. I mean, like you said, like every one that he's done, from Spider-Man to Venom, Cardiac, like everyone has been just. They look stellar. Like there's nothing that I can't complain about any of them. Like everyone has been great, and maybe that's part of it too. Is that he only did maybe let's say 5 cards in the set, but he was given enough time to do 5 cards, and that's how he was able to shine. Whereas like other people, I definitely don't think they gave as much time because it's just like, here's your card, done. I got it done for you.
I don't know that we could say who took longer and stuff. It could, it just could be that like he's a more natural, dynamic artist. Like it's the direction that these people have gone. He's gone in a crazy dynamic direction from here. And a lot of these people have drawn more naturalistic after this. Like a Lee Weeks does draw more naturalistic now than like an Eric Larson does. So. He might have taken longer on him, but he might have just cranked these out. Like he just hasn't. I mean, he's been drawing his whole life. He's got a natural, dynamic ability. Like he sort of lives and breathes dynamism and superheroes. So.
Yeah, fair enough.
He's the Arthur Adams of this set. Like he just kills it every time.
Very true. All right. Critter Paladin said colors definitely saved that bit. I'm guessing we were discussing like the rocks and stuff behind him, so it does give him some more depth there, even though it is very similar shapes. Yeah, I mean, that's another great set. Next time we'll be jumping into the Cosmic Beans, and then also I believe from there we do some Origins and some events. And so we're going to try and see how we can bring in some more voices and cover some of the events, because there's going to be a lot to talk about there. And it's a bit of an artistic shift because you have more activities going on in each card. So we're going to try and see what we can do to change things up in the next run. Definitely try and be back in 2 weeks. Thank you everyone for stopping the stream today. Thank you, Tony, for joining us. Victor, as always, thank you again for coming out. Quick shout outs to those still in chat. I see we've got Alex with us, Marcus, Kareem, thank you for staying for the chat. Anyone else? Thank you again so much for being here. Gentlemen, anything else? Any parting comments?
No, thanks for having me. I love the show. I have fun coming on here and talking bullshit with you guys about these cards. Excellent time, excellent fun. I had a great time. I'm happy to come back anytime you guys need me, but have somebody else next time, because I want to just be able to sit back and enjoy it instead of having to do all this hard work.
Ken, stop asking me about these guys. I don't care about Kylo.
I thought her name was Cersei. What do I know?
I can definitely appreciate that. Victor?
No, like always, it's a fun episode, and thank you all that are watching and listen and catching us, and anyone that catches us after this has been recorded. Thank you guys. Keep on watching.
And also, one last thing, Tony, if anyone wants to find you online, see your art on Instagram, your handle is, I believe, at Tony Fleecs.
Yeah, mostly on Twitter. I'm on Instagram, but not very often. Like I'm not good at it yet. I'm always been a Twitter guy. But same at Tony Fleecs there. TonyFleecs.com is where you can buy original art or find updates about what conventions I'm going to be going to in the next couple of years, I guess. Not now. And if you're at comic stores, check out My Little Pony Transformers. That's the current thing I'm working on. And then after, the next thing up is Rick and Morty miniseries. So keep your eyes out for that sort of thing.
Nice.
And then new creator-owned stuff I'll have coming out announced, I guess, at the end of the year. So keep your ears open from that, because that's the real good stuff. That's where you're going to really get the full Tony Fleecs. So
awesome.
That's what I got.
Thank you so much for joining, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and try and raid another friend of ours, Earl Balon. Actually, I think we did him last time. We're going to stop in again, and hopefully we can give him a good feed of people. Hang out and join his stream. He's playing Jackbox Party Packs.
See you guys.
Later.
Have a good one.
I think that should work.
Do we rate him?
I think we're rating him.
Lead Road! They still do that? So what the kids are saying?
I don't know if we're rated yet. I think someone mentioned, is that a Gilmore Girls t-shirt? It is.
That sure is, yeah. Are we still on?
Oh, wait.
Yeah, we're still on.
We're still on. Here we go. I think I got it now.
There we go. There it is.
There it is.
We did it.